Hi everybody, welcome to the August block for the sampler. We're going to do some different things today, but first we're going to start out with half square triangles. You're going to make half square triangles. You're going to mark a diagonal line on the back side of the fabric. You're going to sew on either side of that mark line like I did here, and then I'm going to cut it apart and press it. Okay, let me go ahead and do that. So I'm going to press these. I'm going to press it towards the darker fabric. Okay, so here are my half square triangles. I'm going to cut off these little bits on the ends. They just make a mess and add bulk. All right, so we're going to do something a little bit different. We are going to take this half square triangle block and we are going to, if I hold this up, I better do it on the board. So this is what I'm going to be sewing. So I have my half square triangle, and then I have a triangle. And what I do is, well, let me back up. So you're going to notice that this triangle point extends beyond half square triangle, and that's good. You want that to happen. I'm going to start sewing here and sew towards the point. Okay. So I'm going to start with a nice square end. At this end, it's nice and square, and I'm going to sew down towards this point. And I'm going to do that with both of the half square triangles I have. You're going to do it with all of them. Sew this triangle onto one side. Okay, I'm going to do that with the other one as well. Again, match up the square corners, and that little triangle point will extend beyond. Right, and when I press it, I'm going to press it towards this triangle. Press it flat first, and then press it towards the triangle. Press the other one. All right, so now I'm going to take another triangle, orange triangle, and I'm going to put it here. And so once it's sewn, I'm going to have a big triangle, okay? So again, I'm going to match up the square part of the triangle and the half square triangle. I'm going to fold it down. I'm going to sew it from here to here. And again, start with the square end of everything. Don't start with the point. Let me do that with this one as well. Starting at the square end. I'm going to press it flat, and then press towards the triangle. So now I have a couple of these. I'm going to trim off these little bits here because they're just going to add bulk. You will probably want to use scissors. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a big triangle . Sew these together. Now the most important thing about sewing these together is it's all on a bias. It's going to want to stretch like crazy, so you're just going to carefully feed it into your sewing machine and try not to pull and try not to let it stretch. You want to keep it as intact as possible. So when I start sewing, I make sure that my pointy ends meet here, and I want my pointy ends to meet at the opposite end over here. So you can pin it or hold it or however you do it, but you want your ends to meet. And I'm going to be really careful not to let it stretch. I'm just going to kind of ease it in and not pull back at all. So I'm making sure my ends meet. And to me, it doesn't matter which piece of fabric I have on top, but if you'd rather have the pieced part on top so you can see where that seam is, you can do that. I'm being really careful not to pull. Okay, let me do this one. Again, I want the pointy ends to meet. So let me start this. Okay, so I'm going to get my other ends to meet. Just ease it in. This is how it finished. I'm going to press it. I'm going to press it towards the big triangle because it's there's no seams I'm going against. So carefully fold it over. Don't push, you know, just kind of iron it. Don't stretch it out because you don't want to distort this. You still want it to be a square. There's one. I need to iron this one. So I'm going to cut off these little bits on the ends. Other one in a little bit. Okay, so you could finish here if you wanted to, but of course I wanted to do a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a square, put one up here. I'm going to match it up in the corner so everything lines up here and here, and I'm going to sew right on that marked line, just exactly on that marked line. Okay. So on this machine, I need to move the needle because my needle is off to the side. again, I'm sewing right on that marked line. And you probably want to pin this. Machine back to a 1/4 inch. So I'm going to cut these apart. All right, I've sewn right on the line. I'm going to press it. Okay, this is what it looks like for right now. Iron this one. What's nice about this is we have this nice little piece in here, this nice little angle without actually cutting out this shape, this trapezoid. I'm not sure what it is. But that way we didn't have to cut that out. It's a nice simple way of getting this line in here without cutting it, all those angles. Okay, so now that I've sewn this, I can take all these extra layers back here and I can trim it to about a 1/4 inch. And you can either guess or you can take a little ruler and you can cut it to a 1/4 inch. I always like to press it first because I always feel like it keeps it more stable if I press it first and then trim away. So let me trim this one. I still need to trim off those bits in the corners that I didn't do earlier. All right, so these are my main parts of the block. And do this. Okay, so that's how I have the block as it's shown in your instructions. But this is one of those blocks you can really change it just by turning it a little bit. It's a totally different look. Same block, totally different look. But anyway, I'm going to put it back the way it was. You can do whatever you want. I'm going to put the yellows back in the middle. Okay, and I'm just going to sew the rest together. Sew these two together. If you had moved your needle away from a 1/4 inch, now's the time to get it back to a 1/4 inch. When I press, I'm going to go in opposite directions. So if this is on the top, I'm going to go to the right. this one I'm going to go to the left. So the main seam I'm going to pin here is this one. Okay, so I'm just going to sew this. Take out the pin. I'm just going to press it in one direction. Does it matter which direction I go in? Okay, and that's the August block. All right, thanks for watching.